Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
Oh, man, do we have a show for you today? You know, I've been doing this a long time, almost 30, well, way past 30 years, almost 40 years. One of the best post-game interviews I've ever seen is coming up in just moments. It is an all-timer, and you will hear this as a drop on my show and maybe everybody else's show for eternity. So that's coming up. And it has to do with the Rays blowing another lead last night. Their bullpen has been awful, specifically Pete Fairbanks, but he made up for it last night with the epic interview. So we are going to get to that. Kuch hits 100 last night. I was at Amalie Arena for a little bit of history, and we all thought we were going to see Austin Matthews make some history as well. And damned if he didn't try, but Matt Tompkins was not having it. The Lightning weren't having it. So we'll get into that, those happenings, and preview the series with the Panthers. Thank you, NHL, for that Sunday afternoon game time. Jeezel Pete's. We got Scott Jeeves is going to join us from the Jeeves Law Group. We're going to talk about the FSU lawsuit, the latest on that, now that he is also being quoted by the Times as well for his knowledge on this. We love Scott Jeeves, and we'll talk some Gator football as well. So we got lots of good stuff coming up. Good morning to you, Nick Geddes from On3 Sports. How are you, my friend?
Good morning here on a Thursday. I'm fighting a little bit of a sickness today, so anybody bear with me if I'm a little heavy-winded.
You're a little nasally?
I've been very nasally all week. This pollen is absolutely killing me, but we're soldiering on, and as you had mentioned, I feel like I guess we should get right into it, right? The best moment that took place last night, and it wasn't after anything positive to do with any of our sports teams, but still very funny.
Yes. Well, it was from the Rays game last night. Now we double teamed it last night. I have the Bolts game on lockdown. We'll get to that in just a little bit. And that was just more about history than it was about, the playoffs or anything like that. So we'll get to that. It was a very interesting game, I thought, last night. Interesting happenings at Amalie Arena. But you watched the Rays game, and I just went back and watched the condensed game. And man, it's this isn't a typical Rays team that's like on the details, like the Rays way. You having to beat other teams by doing the little things that make you win games. It seems like they're as sloppy as they've ever been in terms of holding runners on, allowing base runners to move up 90 feet whenever the hell they want. The defensive catching has been abysmal. The bullpen has been abysmal. Yandy's not hitting. Arena's not hitting. Siri's just swinging at everything. And yet here they're still a game over 500, right? They're still 10-9, right?
10-9.
I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, it's just they're playing their C- game, and they're 3 games out of first place? Like, what the hell?
I mean, I think it's a good thing. I mean, we know that the reinforcements, or so we hope, are coming throughout the season. And we've been saying, if they can stick around 500 to a certain point, the All-Star break would be nice. And
Right.
They're kind of there right now. But the way they're winning baseball games is like having to grind them out. It is like the game the night before, the 13-inning game was like just
what a game.
Great example of that. It was a fantastic game. But you talk about a chess match, that's what that was. But then even in their losses, like they've had a lot of close losses. Sometimes they get blown out too. But last night, there's a formula to Rays games that I've caught on to. Right. They're almost going to put you to sleep for about 5-6 innings, as they nearly did to me last night and the night before. And you kind of walk up and you kind of walk out of the room, you go to the kitchen, and, I tell Casey all the time, I'm like, this team's boring, right? And then I go to the kitchen, I try to, concentrate on something else. And then I walk back into the room, and all of a sudden the magic happens. And I look up, and it's the 8th inning. They wait till
an NBA game.
Inning. Right. They wait to the 8th inning to make it exciting and not boring. And in the case of last night, Ahmed Rosario comes up and hits what I thought was going to be the game winner. I'm like, here we go. Ahmed Rosario, big time. The Rays have done it again. And then it happened. And listen, if you've watched Pete Fairbanks for the most of this season so far, I guess you could say we should have seen it coming. Right
Right.
now, he doesn't have any feel, I feel like, where the baseball's going. And it's odd because if you look at like his deeper kind of analytics behind his pitches, nothing sticks out that you go, that's it. That's the thing right there. Like, he's not getting hit hard. Like, the velocity's there. So it just, to me, it comes down to location, maybe a lack of movement on some of his pitches. I don't know. He clearly doesn't know either, by the way. But that was bad last night. And that's one that you can't let slip away, and you can't lose a series to Anaheim, in my opinion, at home.
No, you cannot. But so Rosario comes. It was kind of a weird game. First of all, Zach Littell was great last night. Another great start for him. I thought his location was just fantastic. Of course, he had to give up a home run to Mike Trout, who now has 8 home runs, tied for the lead. Has 9 home runs against the Rays.
Can we acquire Mr. Trout, please? Because
please.
He loves to play against the Rays, and he loves to play inside the Trop. He's got to be one of the few. So can we?
Well, there's this one small drawback in that idea there. Nick Geddes, he makes more than the entire Rays payroll. So yeah, that's gonna be just a little bit of a little bit of a problem in the negotiation when they get to the part where salary comes into play.
I understand, but I'm just trying to give my best analysis. Get the best.
Imagine if you will, if the Rays had a player of that category, and they did, by the way, but he was interested in amateur athletics. But this game in and of itself was really interesting. Yeah, Yandy finally got an extra base hit. That was great. And then a Rosarena comes up and swings at a fastball over his head. So nothing there. A Rosarena did get an RBI later on, so a critical RBI. That was good. How about the 5th inning when Shonowell just like runs to second base while Littell's walking back to the mound? It was weird because he goes back to first base and nobody called timeout. That was the problem. Usually someone calls timeout.
Right.
And nobody can advance.
And Meade turned his back and everything and just went on about his, moving on to the next play.
Which is normal because normally after a play like that, somebody calls time and then the pitcher walks back and everybody gets. But, to Shonowell's credit, he saw that time was not called and everybody had their back turned. He goes up to second and then scores on a base hit. I mean, that's a big run, obviously, in a 1-run game, and it's sloppy baseball. Then in the 9th inning, Adele takes third and uncontested. Neto takes second, basically uncontested. I mean, we're just giving up 90 feet anytime you want it.
Well, and those two
ridiculous.
In those two scenarios, though, I believe both pitches gave Pinto no shot, even if he wanted to make a play. I don't think Fairbanks even gave him a shot because of the pitches. I think one of them was a fastball,
and he wasn't holding the runners on. He wasn't even looking.
Right, and I think when you're pressing on the mound a little bit, there's those lacks in judgment, and you just kind of you forget about everything else that's going on around you, and you're just trying to throw strikes. But to your point, though, I will say I think Rortvet's actually been okay back there. He's had some really good throws to get guys out, but Pinto has been a little bit of a disaster behind the plate.
I think Rortvet should be playing every day. Why is he not playing every day? He's hitting. He's better defensively. I know Pinto had a couple home runs, 3 games ago. But behind the plate, he doesn't block the ball well. He's not throwing guys out. He threw another ball into center field last night. Yeah, I don't that whole catching. And why did you not go out in the offseason and get a real catcher?
Well, can I point out they have a catcher who they did acquire, I think last year at a small trade, Alex Jackson, who has 6 home runs in Durham so far, including a 3 home run game about a week and a half ago.
Right.
I have to do.
It was great in spring, was he not?
Right. He was great in spring. I had to do research on what he's doing, behind the plate from a defensive standpoint, but from a hitting standpoint, he seems to be mashing it so far. So,
well, he can't be worse defensively than what Pinto's been, can he?
I sure hope not, because Pinto's a hard watch behind the plate. He really is.
He can't frame pitches. He can't throw guys out. What does he do well? I'm still waiting to see.
And it's funny because there was for years there where the Rays never got production from their catcher, and it's not like they're getting great production now from Pinto at the plate, but they were so focused on guys who were good framers, just very solid, sound defensively. And I used to always be like, but these guys can't hit. But now it's like I've taken Jose Molina for granted. I've taken Mike Zunino. My goodness, talk about taking somebody for granted. He was so like just nails behind the plate, right?
Yeah.
But it's like we're back to square one where it's like we're trying to find a catcher. We're trying to find a catcher. But I'd like to see more Rortvedt, though. I would agree.
Yeah. I mean, and again, these are issues that other teams go out and solve in the offseason, and it takes money. And of course, unfortunately, our general manager has 3 hands tied behind his back when it comes to that. So I'm interested. So we get down to so Rosario comes up in the bottom of the 8th and bangs a 2-run bomb. How good has that guy been? How good is he?
He's hitting good against righties now too.
Yeah,
which is like something he usually hasn't done in his career. He's been great for 1.5 mil.
Yeah, and Brandon Lau, take your time. Take your time, buddy. We got a second baseman who can hit, who can run, who can play multiple positions. We're good. You know, take your time. Not that he needs me to tell him that, because he won't be back anytime soon. But I've washed my hands of that. The 39 home runs is a distant memory. It's never happening again until he leaves here, obviously. But I just got to move on. You got to move on. They've got a lot of better players they could be concentrating on to move into that position. So move on. And Rosario's been fantastic. So he goes deep, and you got the 4-3 lead. And so here comes Fairbanks. It's just, you get the 2 guys moving up, pitches in the dirt, and at least they did one good thing, and that's they get the first. Well, then he gives up the sharp single. Looks like the Angels take the lead. They review, and they got him at the plate. Great throw by Rosarena. By Rosarena. They get Neto at the plate. So now it's back to tie game, and first base is open. Mike Trout's coming up. What are we doing? Yes, I'm holding up 4 fingers for the radio audience. Yes, thank you, Kevin Cash. I'm sitting there going, no, you're not. There's no way you're going to let Mike Trout hit here. There's no way. You can't. You can't let him hit. And he threw up the 4 fingers. I was like, oh, thank God. Thank God. And then, but that's the right decision. And then Taylor Ward comes up. It wasn't a sharp single, but he didn't need to hit it. Just a little bloop single to right field, gets the job done, and the Rays can't answer in the bottom, and they're cooked. So Fairbanks blows another save. He's given up, I think, of the 32 base runners, 32 batters he's faced, 16 have gotten on base. Ooh. His ERA's over 6. I mean, he's been an abject disaster. But he did redeem himself. He did redeem himself with the interview of all time. I know I've overhyped this, but I still think it lives up. So without further ado, I give you Pete Fairbanks post game.
2 straight pitches and 2 counts, and just not doing what I'm good at. And then you just compound that, and that's when you get beat by the one that flips over the infield.
Gotcha. What's it? Just a matter of command, location, selection, anything specific?
Blanks there. Blanks there.
No, I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck. So, we're going to try and rectify that. But for right now, I'm going to be pretty pissed about it.
Pete, where do you kind of go from here? Is it looking at tape? Is it going through mechanics? Where do you kind of go from here?
You tell me. I've tried that. You got an answer I'd love to hear. Just, not going to let it beat me up for, I'll maybe give it till 10. It's 9:44 right now. We'll give it 16 minutes of sulk, and then we'll, get back on the bump and figure it out.
That is spectacular. Oh, my God. All right, let's roll it back to the suck part. Or just play the whole thing again.
and two, not doing what I am good at, and then you just compound that, and that's when you get beat by the one that flips over the infield.
Gotcha. What's it? Just a matter of command, location, selection,
Here
anything
comes the
specific?
drop. Edit this out, Nick.
No, I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck. So, we're going to try and rectify that. But for right now, I'm going to be pretty pissed about it.
Not a specific kind of suck, just an all-encompassing suck. So good. So good. Maybe that's
classic Pete. It's classic Pete Fairbanks, man. It really is.
Look at the hair. Look at
looks
who's
so
the
disheveled.
I'm trying to remember the SNL guy that he looks like. What's his name? Is it Spader? I think is that his name? Yeah, I'll look it up at a break. But that's what it looks like, an SNL interview. Just the blank stare, He
just looks so like he just looks
suck.
Right. He just looks gone. Like look at this. Like I have it just sitting right here. Like where is I'm circling right now with my mouse, his face. Where is he at right now in this moment?
He's in the all-encompassing suck world is where he is. Yeah. He's in that dimension, the all-encompassing suck dimension. And then I love the line right below: 1 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 0 Ks. This is just, it's all encompassing suck.
Was it David Spade you're thinking about, by the way?
No, Lottie, it's not. It's I think his name is it Hader? Might be Hader.
I don't know. He said he looks
Spader.
like he said he looks
he
like
does,
David
he does
Spade
have a little David Spade, yeah.
He said he looks like David Spade, Tommy Boy, when his toupee blows off. Which I wish I understood the reference, but I've never seen Tommy Boy.
That's a good comp. That's a good comp. Absolutely. But it's another guy that I'm thinking of. I'll
Bill
find him. Bill Hader. That's it. Bill Hader.
Shout out.
Yes,
Lonnie.
Yes, Lonnie. Right? He's got a little Bill Hader. If it was dark hair, the blank stare, like that is.
Oh yeah, I see it.
It looks like Bill Hader doing an SNL skit. It does, and the deadpan is just so good. It's just so good. I can't, one more. Just give me the whole thing one more time. Give me the whole enchilada one more time, right from the beginning. It's so good.
2 strike pitches and 2 counts, and just not doing what I am good at, and then you just compound that, and that's when you get beat by the one that flips over the infield.
Gotcha. What's it? Just a matter of command, location, selection, anything specific?
The blank stare. He's thinking about it.
No, I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck. So, we're going to try and rectify that. But for right now, I'm going to be pretty pissed about it.
Pete, where do you kind of go from here? Is it looking at tape? Is it going through mechanics? Where do you kind of go from here?
You tell me. I've tried that. If you got an answer, I'd love to hear. Just, not going to let it beat me up for, I'll maybe give it till 10. It's 9:44 right now.
Till 10.
16 minutes of sulk. And
6 shots of fireball later.
I'll be good. Figure it out.
Get back on the bump and figure it out.
The ability
it's like out of Major League or a baseball movie. Like, get back on the bump, figure it out. 16 minutes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I think that's good life advice right there from Pete Fairbanks. Just in general, guys, when you have a bad day, you step in dog poo, right? Your coffee spills all over you. You lose 2 sales, right? You just
look to what is it? Just look to the top of the hour and subtract and do some math, and that's how much time you have to sulk before you move on.
The quick. Hopefully it's late in the hour, so it's not too long of a sulk, and then just get back on the bump and figure it out. Get back on that. I think that's going to be the title of my book. Like, either not a specific suck, just all encompassing suck, or get back on the bump, figure it out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pete Fairbanks.
At least we can laugh about it. It's early in the season. Nobody's hurt so far. We can all laugh about this. If this had happened in August or something, I'm
Right.
sure this would be a little bit different, but it's April. It's April. But at the moment, I will say, it's funny. It is funny, yes. But do they have a little bit of a Pete Fairbanks problem right now? I would
Oh,
say,
yeah.
yeah. And by the way, this is true for most of the entire Rays staff right now, but for Pete
Yeah.
in particular, because it's so uncharacteristic, he's already walked 8 guys so far. He's walked 8 guys, and he's pitched in 7 innings. So he's walking more than a guy an inning right now. And just for reference, he only walked 20 guys all last year. Okay. He's on pace to shatter that this year, as a lot of guys. I mean, that's my biggest disappointment, I think, with the Rays in general, is their bullpen is just
Awful.
a disaster right now. I mean, they showed some signs. I thought they did well, all things considered, the night before, when they obviously had to use all of them and everything. And it was good to see Mayton get back on track. But for the most part, most of these guys just have not been reliable. And this is what they told me at the beginning of the year, and we all thought was the strength of this team.
Right.
It's mind-boggling.
It's upside down now. It's upside down now. It's completely upside down. His starting pitching's been good, been really good. Littell's been good. Eflin's been good.
Yeah.
Savali's been good.
Yeah, Savali only made 2 mistakes the other night that cost him, but other than that, he was fantastic.
Yeah, so that's been good. And do we have the Cash ready, by the way? Have Kevin
I'll
Cash?
get Cash up here.
Yeah, and Cash, I think, one of the best things about Cash is even when they win the game the other night, he's not, doing cartwheels, right? And when you lose a game like this where you played sloppy baseball, he has the resolute, yeah, that wasn't good. But he doesn't flip tables over, which you can't have in a 162 game season. I would be flipping tables. I'd be going full loop. I'd be going full Lupinella. I mean, Dr. Pitcher Coach. I'd be going full Lupinella. But Cash is just sips on his drink and just, takes it all in. And I think that's the approach you have to have. It's why he's one of the best managers in the game. Let's listen to Kevin Cash post game.
Certain guys, like Pete's been struggling a bit. What did you kind of see tonight?
The
stuff looked good. Velo kind of spiked up there for a minute. Just the command's not as crisp as, when he's right. It's just not coming out and finding the zone as many times as it probably should.
Gotcha. And then the stolen bases in that inning too. Were those either one of those you think you guys had a chance on?
Well, one was in the dirt, right? And the other one, but no, I don't. When a guy gets on base and it's a tight ball game, we got to find a way to limit, their opportunities of advancing 90 feet.
The play in the 5th, Kevin, just where the runner's able to advance as Littell's walking back to the mound.
Yeah.
What do you guys need to do there?
I think there was an assumption that timeout was there. And then, we had a couple infielders with their backs turned. And then Littell walking back to the mound. But, I mean, we got to not allow that to happen.
Well designed.
Can't allow that to happen.
What did you see from him tonight?
I thought he threw the ball well, really well. I mean, gave up, 3 runs. Probably could have said, if we don't allow that guy to advance, it's 2 runs. But he competed really well. We drove his pitch count a little higher than what we normally do with that, in those amount of innings. But given where the state of the bullpen was, I mean, gave us every opportunity to stay in the ball game and ultimately come back and take the lead.
Some good things offensively. Yandy, a couple of hits for the first time in a while.
Yeah.
Rosario, obviously the big homer at the time.
Yeah. Look, Yandy's at bats were encouraging. Rosie, that was felt like back-to-back nights. He was going to come up really big for us. Huge home run in the moment. But we just came up short.
And just going back to Pete for a second, I know you said the other day you kind of put your arm around these guys.
Yeah.
Been there and done that. Is that still kind of the philosophy?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, this group is too good, too talented to stay, at this inconsistent pace that we're at. I mean, I really believe in this group, and for good reason. They've got a track record of being really successful. It's not happening right now.
Yeah, and that's the way you got to treat it, man. You don't throw up your hands and go, oh, we got to go get a new closer. We got to do this. We got to do it. Not yet, anyway. it's a little concerning, and it started with this shenanigans in Coors Field, and he probably couldn't feel the baseballs, although he's not going to admit it. He's got some type of feeling thing in his fingers, which when you're a
Right.
pitcher, it's not a great thing. So I don't know where that's going, if it's health related. But like you said, Nick, it's not like the analytics are off, the spin rates are off, or the velo's out. I mean, he's missing his spots a little bit here and there, but I think he's just lost a little bit of confidence, and that's a killer when you're a closer. That's a killer.
Yeah, and I think his off speed too is not helping him. And I see this a lot of guys around the league who have really good fastballs. They try to dabble in their off speed a lot, and don't trust their fastball. And what ends up happening is you don't have any bite on your off speed. And then when you do throw your fastball, your command's off and you start to lose kind of that rhythm. And I feel like that's part of what Pete's doing. And you throw 98. Well, to be fair, the fastball velo has been down a little bit compared to last year, but yesterday he pumped it up a few times to 98. Now it's not hitting 99. It's not hitting 100 yet, but he has that ability. And it's like, just trust your fastball and stick with that rather than dabbling in all these other things. I think he would probably get back to having the success. And I know I said that he has a bit of a problem right now and you don't want to overreact, but maybe you start mixing in, a Jason Adam in some of these roles that Fairbanks has had in regards to closing games late. Cause I think Jason Adam, in regards to the bullpen, he's been great. Yeah. They did a great breakdown on OB Network yesterday. DeRosa did, talking about how when he faced Trout the night before, that huge at bat with the bases loaded in like the 11th or 12th inning, and he was able to just jam Trout like 3 times in a row with the fastball, and he popped up to second. And it was just like great pitching from Jason Adams. So I think he might be a guy that you may kind of sprinkle in there in some of the Fairbanks roles for right now, and allow Pete maybe to go back in some lower leverage things until he finds it. I think that's probably the way I would play it right now.
Yeah, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. So missed opportunity for the Rays last night, but again, they got the Angels this afternoon, a 12:30 game, and then it's off to New York for the weekend to play the Yankees. You better get it right there, or Juan Soto and the boys will spank you. So I'd be interested to see a little bit of baseball this weekend at New York. All right, let's move on to the Lightning. And last night's game was pretty interesting stuff. I mean, you're there not for to see who was going to win the game. Like, it's a complete afterthought. Nobody cares. Both teams locked in. We're good to go. But you're just there to see Kucherov, and you're there to see Austin Matthews get his 70th goal. And TNT is there to see Austin Matthews get his 70th goal. They set up a special camera right in our production area's usable space so they could focus solely on Austin Matthews when he got his 70th goal. But the great Matt Tompkins in for Vasi last night was having none of it. 7 shots on goal in the first period for Austin Matthews. Hit a post, hit a crossbar, nothing. Gets another 5 shots in the third period. And literally, I think I was watching at the end of the game. He took a 5-minute shift at the end of the game when they pulled the goalie. Like Austin, I think he came off the ice for about the last 15 seconds, and that's it. And he couldn't get it, but the Kuch could, and Kuch did. And there was a point he scored his 44th goal, by the way. Let's not just dismiss the fact that the dude scored 44 goals this year while getting 100 assists. It's just mind-boggling numbers. The 5th player overall to get 100 assists, the first winger to ever do it. He's the best playmaker in the game. I've been saying that for years and years and years. And the way he's done it is also spectacular. He's been a part of 50% of the Lightning's goals. They're the 5th best scoring team in the league. So this is like historic stuff. And he had an opportunity on a power play. He fed Braden Point, and there's nobody within 4 strides of Braden Point. He's in the slot right in the middle. He's got both corners to shoot at. And I forget who was in net for them last night. I forget, whatever. He makes a nice glove save, but not a quality shot from Braden Point, not at his level. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? How did you miss that? And about 2 minutes later, same situation, feeds him in the slot, and this time Braden Point didn't miss. And the place went crazy. The place went bonkers, as it should. And the biggest shocker of the night, Nick Geddes, a huge smile and celebration from the usually deadpan and stoic Nikita Kucherov. This really meant something to him, as it should, because it puts him in the history books. And I'm glad he got it last night. It was huge.
Right. I mean, it was cool too. This game was on national TV because there was a moment where I think it might have been after the 50 assist or the 100 assist rather, and the entire crowd was chanting MVP.
Yes.
And trust me, I don't know if you heard the broadcast part of it.
No,
it was heard well. It translated well to TV and it sounded great. So, and yeah,
who was doing the game?
It was TNT.
I mean the announcers.
Oh, I'm not sure. I was mostly following the Rays last night. I had this game on mute for the most part.
Did they make any MVP plea for Kucherov? Did they? I'm sure they had that conversation. And if you guys are in the comments and you heard it, I'd love to know.
Right. But yeah, the way he reacted after, like he had the big smile on his face, like you said. And then even when he was over at the bench and you saw Coop kind of came down and said something to him. I think Sergachev came down the tunnel to dap him up. And you just don't usually see that side of Nikita Kucherov. And it was kind of refreshing to see because we love the Stone Cold Killer. And here's the thing. I'm sure that right after that game ended, he went right back to being, that Nikita Kucherov. But for the 5 minutes or whatever it was that he gave us of him being human, I guess, it was great to see that there's something that means something to him. And in regards to the MVP thing, I mean, I don't know what else we have to see here. Beyond everything else that you've said, he also had 44 goals this year, right? Or 45? 44 goals.
44,
Only two other guys in the history of the National Hockey League have done 40 goals and 100 assists in a single season. Their names are Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux, the consensus two best players to ever do it in the NHL. So what else do we have? What else are we talking about then? What else we got to talk about?
Kucherov is never mentioned in those circles. I mean, now I'm not saying he's Gretzky or Lemieux. I'm not saying but he ain't far behind Lemieux. Nobody's in Gretzky's league. You're not. I mean,
nobody's going to touch those guys for the amount of years they did it at that high of a level. I'm just simply saying this season he had a Lemieux Gretzky type season in the modern day where the game is completely different. I think would be fair to say it that way.
Yeah, and it's not fluky. I mean, he's led the league in points before, but 140, that was at 128. The 144 is in this day and age is incredible with the goalies and the size of the goalies and the pads and everything else. It's insane what he's been able to do. And I think if you're Toronto and you're Austin Matthews, you got to feel a little disappointed. I mean, you have to feel like you were right on the precipice. And even in the game against Florida the night before, he had one sitting in the crease. It was about 3 inches from going in. It got swept away. He had so many opportunities. And last night, 12 shots on goal. I mean, my God, and still couldn't get it. So I don't think it has anything to do with the playoffs whatsoever, but it just, it kind of sucks for you, Toronto.
I'm not going to lie. I like history. I like cool moments. I was rooting
I wanted to see it.
Get it. I wanted to see him hit 70.
Yeah.
And then if it wasn't for the crossbar, I mean, he absolutely Matt Dumba. Poor Matt Dumba. Yeah. He got done pretty well by Matthews there, I think, in the second period. And then Matthews snipes one and it hits the damn crossbar, which I heard the crossbar was
it rang
very popular last night in Amalie Arena.
Yeah, it was indeed. But it was fun to see. So we get a little post-game Kuch as well.
Yeah, we even got what kind of week is this? 2 days in a row, we got Vasilevsky talking, and then we get Kucherov talking, and we haven't even won anything yet, and they're talking. But yeah, here was Kucherov post.
Congratulations on 100 assists. What does that number mean to you?
It's a special moment. Thanks for my teammates and the coaching staff putting me in the position to have success, and fortunate to be with the great players, to play with the great players, and it's a good moment.
Was it a little bit of a relief when one pointer scored that one?
Sure.
What was your thought when it went in?
Sure.
I don't know. Good goal.
What do you insist on the power play this year? I mean, when you guys are humming, what does that feel like out there? It seems like you guys are invincible, unstoppable out there.
We could score a lot more, I think, if we execute the plays.
Scored 6.
It is what it is.
How special was it that Braden Point was the recipient of your 100th assist?
Yeah, he's been putting.
Don't kill me now.
It's so boring. Even the Wi-Fi was like, no, I can't handle it.
We got the
Can't
gist
handle
there.
it.
He gave us the longest Nikita Kucherov answer that we're probably ever going to get. And then he immediately was like, ooh, I've given too much away.
Yeah,
and then Eric
exactly.
asked him 2
He's like,
questions.
I got to pull it back.
I got to pull it back. Hold on. Sure.
What's the first thing that went through your mind after 100 assists? Good goal.
Good goal.
I mean, come on, Kuch. That's classic Kuch, though, right? It's like he's not. That's why I said the best thing we got out of that was the huge smile and the celebration, and it was rare to see, and it was great to see in public. That I don't know why he's so just terrified of showing that fun-loving human side of him that evidently he has that nobody knows about. It's like the Bill Belichick, right? Of how everybody tells us how funny and
he
great.
is. You clearly didn't watch the Pat McAfee show yesterday.
What? Belichick was
Bill,
on?
Bill was on the Pat McAfee show yesterday, and it was like a surprise appearance. And Bill was on for like 30 minutes with Pat. And
no way.
Yes, you should go watch it, all 30 minutes. And it was like all about the draft and like how he approaches the draft and everything. Bill's great on TV. And by the way, he's going to be with Pat McAfee in his show next Thursday in Detroit. They're going to be doing a draft broadcast, I believe, on ESPN2. And Bill Belichick's going to be with the Pat McAfee show, Pat McAfee and his gang. It's going to be great.
Is it crazy for me to say, sorry, Bill, you're not a draft expert? You 6-time Super Bowl. He's not. He's terrible.
Well,
in recent years, who was he drafted?
In recent years, it wasn't great, but he's had some, and he mentioned him yesterday. He had some good snipes.
Back in the day.
He didn't have the greatest ones now, but
I mean, I'm trying not to disrespect the man. He's won 6.
Hasn't he been through enough? We got hit pieces going on this man yesterday, which ironic from ESPN, and then he pops up on McAfee's show, and now he's going to be on ESPN's airwaves for the draft. So that's a little interesting.
Yeah, how about that?
Really,
that was like the whole Don Van Natta piece about of all people, Robert Kraft sabotaging Bill Belichick. Like, what the hell's going on there? Like, what the hell happened there? And then now it's, like you don't trust Bill, he said, anonymous source. That's pretty bizarre. And then he shows up on the McAfee show, though, is somehow, I don't know. It's like,
it's ESPN, but it's like not ESPN.
Right, exactly. It's ESPN.
Because even when they were talking about the article earlier on, like I think Boston Connor, the guy that's on there, the one that has the mullet, and he has on Cincinnati tattooed on his arm, which he showed Bill yesterday, and it was the funniest thing. But they were even talking about how that article sounded like it was BS, and that they were like, hasn't Bill been through enough, with the hit pieces? Like we just had the dynasty thing that was all about against Bill, and now we have the article come out, and it's like, what does everybody have against Bill Belichick to like degrade his legacy?
I think, first of all, let's take a break. I want to come back and kind of dive into this a little bit because I think it's a super interesting topic. Just from the numbers standpoint, the greatest coach in the history of Super Bowl football. I mean, Don Shula will still have the all-time wins record because Bill Belichick ain't getting another job. I don't think, maybe, but I don't think he's going to have to rehabilitate his image, which is bizarre to even think about. All right, let's take a quick break. We're brought to you by the great folks at the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves is going to join us in our second hour to talk about the FSU lawsuit and some Gator football and maybe a little bit of Gator baseball as well. Some crazy things going on there. The Jeeves Law Group, they are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Go to jeeveslawgroup.com, contact them through the website, and get a free case evaluation. Also brought to you by and presented by Hydrate Heroes. Got my Hydrate Heroes going this morning. It tastes phenomenal, plus all the 8 times the benefits. It's plant-based, no sugar, no stimulants, none of that crap that's in there. Go to hydrateheroes.com to get yours. All right, back in 3. Stay with us. JP here for my friends at your local Synovus Bank, and I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta, big fan of the show, and I've known him for over 40 years. He's been in local banking since 1983. You talk about developing relationships. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation, and that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online. And for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how. For a get-acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to synovus.com to find out where your local branch is. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA 2-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or try to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com. or call 813-485-6808.
With over 34 years of producing small and large events, Extravaganza Productions is truly a Tampa treasure when it comes to creating some of the very best events in Tampa and all across the United States. I've worked with them at the Florida Sports Hall of Fame inductions, the Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-sized event spread across all of Tampa Bay. They are the very best, from small meetings to exceptionally large corporate conferences to galas, fundraisers, sporting events, grand openings, whatever you want. Team EPI has an extremely talented staff of designers and show producers that develop extraordinary events fueled by the visions of their clients. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo and his crew over there will get your testosterone right, get your nutrition right, get your immune system right. Did you have your visit with Dr. Lugo there, Nick?
I did. I went 2 weeks ago, and we chatted for about an hour. Went through everything, very thorough, very personal, and then got me signed up for all the blood tests. Went to Quest 3 days later, did all the blood tests, and in the process of waiting for those results to get back. So,
all right, cool. Yeah, that's how they do it over there. They get your blood work done, and then they'll bring you in. You'll sit with them for like an hour and 15 minutes, going over all your blood work. And then he can tell you what you should be eating, maybe what your exercise regimen should be. All these things are personalized just for you. And he attacks, the issues before they happen. That's good medicine, folks. Don't sit around and wait till you get sick. Have a doctor that's going to try to keep you well. That's a much better idea. So with the supplements he has me taking with the vitamin D, the vitamin E, all these things, been relatively healthy for a couple of years now. I had a couple of bouts with, a few days with what might have been the flu, but other than that, in this world of a lot of people getting sick all the time, that has not been my experience. So go to Bay Area Modern Medical Center and get that experience for yourself. Plus this Hydrate Heroes thing, I think, helps as well. My joints are feeling so much
Hell
better.
of a combination right there.
Right? Hey, health, be healthy, hydrate, take your supplements, and get some exercise, get outside, which is, I think, a huge key. Feeling good at my advanced age of 39.
Hey,
So
can you
I'm
still
good.
bend down to read putts? I think that's the litmus
I
test
can.
at this point.
I can. Yeah, absolutely.
you're
And it's
fine.
getting easier. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I want to get to some of the great comments we got going on today. Lonnie Wilkins is on fire today. Did you see the Angels even stole Renee Pinto's car after the game? Did they? By the way, what does Renee Pinto drive? Hopefully not a Pinto, but you wouldn't know anything about that. Once again, the prospects sure look good. They're really going to save the Rays and take them to the promised land. We've become the old Cubs. Next year is the year. Then it's the same thing again. Yep.
Can I make a comment though about the prospect? Can we just get Junior up here already? What are we waiting on?
Where's he going to play?
I don't give it. Where is he going to play? How many guys are hitting right now?
Nobody.
I don't care. I'm so over that whole thing about where's he going to play though. I don't figure it out.
Right. Get him in the lineup.
Curtis Mead, I've been hearing about Curtis Mead for years. Has Curtis Mead really done anything at the major league level that makes me go, ooh, big time potential? Like I'm just being completely blunt with you. When you got the number 2 prospect or whatever sitting in the minors and he's hitting bombs, the other, like the dead center and the other direction, like just get him up here already, man.
What do you got to lose offensively anyway? Certainly. Lonnie says Yandy looks like he's heating up, and Randy has hit some ball hard, but it still looks bad. My problem is Randy is not a 3-4 hitter. He's a 5-6 on a team like Atlanta or LA. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, a lot of guys are 5-6 hitters compared to those guys.
Yeah.
But no, I'm willing to give Randy a little bit more time because he put on weight, like a lot of muscle, and I think his swing is different. He struggled in spring training. Yeah, I'm willing to give him a little bit of time. Figure that out.
Yeah, I don't like when you're. Why would you put on more muscle? Why? Well, you just had one of your best seasons ever. You're crushing the baseball. Strength has never been a problem for Randy Arozarena.
I just wanted him to get more consistent. I think that was it, right? More discipline.
Why would you bulk? But why would you bulk up? I don't. Is that an ego thing? I don't know.
I don't know if he took the Yandy the route or something, but yeah,
I don't know. I don't think it's smart for a baseball player to dramatically change your body type when you're playing well. It doesn't make sense to me. James says Fairbanks is a head case. He has struggled every outing, but what an interview. Rick says, ha, 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 JP, did you ask why the Rays didn't go out and get a catcher? Stu just spit out his champagne brunch. Yes, I know why he didn't go out and get a catcher, because they cost money. Yeezy says Kuch for MVP. Absolutely. I love that chant. That chant was going on all night long, every time he touched the puck. What else we got here? Fairbanks has got the Trump hair going a little bit. Yeah, he did. Rick says Fairbanks is awesome. The all-encompassing suck is the new name for some local sports shows. I guess you're not talking about ours. That would be a great name of a podcast. The all-encompassing suck. The all-encompassing suck. I would agree with that. Some days we could name our podcast that, I would say. But not most. Are we Lonnie says, are we sure they didn't ask him going about his thoughts of building a ballpark in St. Pete? The all-encompassing suck? Yeah. It's not a specific suck idea. It's an all-encompassing suck idea.
Did you catch the attendance last night, by the way? A cool, just over 10,000.
Yeah. Is that good or bad? I don't even know.
I don't know. I mean, I guess they I guess everybody just wanted to see Kuch break his record, I guess, last night instead.
There was another article in the paper, and I see other shows had this eureka moment yesterday that this ballpark thing might not get done in St. Pete as people realize the actual cost of it. Yeah. I think this is what I told you on day one when they announced it. Like, it's going to cost the city of St. Pete $350 million. And we laughed out loud. And I said, let's wait to see what the real numbers are. Let's wait to see now that we know the real numbers, $2.4 billion of public money, most of it going into Stu Sternberg's pocket on his way out the door, Thunder Road. It's a town for losers, pulling out of here to win. As we predicted a long time ago, the more and more and this is why the mayor has done so much to keep all of this under wraps. And now that the numbers are coming out, it's an absolute boondoggle. I'm getting a little,
be honest, I'm getting a little worried. Not that this deal's going to get done. It's not just that. I'm getting worried about the future of the team in Tampa. I really am. Because as much as I would more logically love to see this thing in Tampa, I'm just starting to understand that the chances of it happening in Tampa at this point are pretty low. I mean, from my vantage point, at least. And if this deal were to fall through in St. Pete, I don't know what the pivot is at that point. And time is on the essence. We've wasted 20 years at this point trying to get this done. And it just kind of worries me a little bit. I got to be honest with you. Because my whole stance on this has been, okay, the location sucks. We all get that. You can try to sell me on the growth of St. Pete, and I'll try to get on board with it. At the end of the day, I'm going to go to the games because I'm a hardcore fan, and that's that. And something new is better than nothing and staying in the area. I can get on board with that. But if this deal falls through, I got to be honest, I got no idea where they pivot. I really don't. And that's a
pivot to Tampa. They
can pivot to Tampa, but I just don't know where, how, money, fighting, all of this. I have no idea.
Well, the bad news is
and how quick it would have to come together. That's the thing that worries me.
First of all, Nick, I'm ashamed of you that you have fallen into one of the many false narratives. The Trop is not going away. They can play in the Trop as long as they want to play in the Trop. It's just an option that the Rays have to take. The lease is up at the end of the 27 season, but if they have to play,
it's what if this falls through and then Stu's just like, well, that's it. In his mind, I'm thinking in his mind, okay, I've exhausted my options. Tampa's not giving me the sweetheart deal that I desire, and I'm not budging. So now I'm just going to take my ball and move on.
Well, I think you're seeing the same thing play out with the A's. It's not that much dissimilar because, remember the deal is done in Vegas. I'm like, no, it's not. The money has not been appropriated. How they're paying for it has not been done. So no, it's not done in Vegas. And now they're, kind of in limbo. The difference is Major League Baseball doesn't covet the Oakland market. It's not a market that they need because they have the Giants in terms of a demographic market, a media market. They have the Giants there.
Right. And
so they really don't.
Everybody's left Oakland in the last 5-7 years.
So Major League Baseball doesn't really care. All right. Do you think Major League Baseball cares about leaving the 11th largest market and growing? Yes.
Well, even from like a TV standpoint, the Rays are in the top 10 in regards to viewership on TV. They have there's people in this, trust me, people in this area love baseball and they love this team. Okay. The TV ratings will tell you that.
Major League Baseball loves money. And they're not leaving the 11th largest market to send this team to Nashville because Nashville is an expansion market that they're going to get, $1.752 billion in an expansion fee. And that goes to all the other owners. Why would they want to put money in Stu Sternberg's pocket or let Stu Sternberg move him there and then he'd have to pay, or Nashville would have to pay $1 billion relocation fee. And then you're looking to put another ownership group in in the Bay Area, and we'll start with Tampa. Now, the problem is Ybor Harbor, which, of course, was ticketed for the baseball stadium and would look great and would have been a perfect spot for the baseball stadium. And of course, Daryl Shaw, who's developing that and just announced it, was, wanted to do. Listen, Daryl Shaw wanted to do a deal with the Rays. But at some point, you just get sick of dealing with this lunatic, Stu Sternberg, who you can't count on and doesn't bargain in good faith. And as I've said many times, baseball does not have a stadium problem in Oakland and in Tampa Bay. It has an ownership problem. Fisher and Sternberg are greedy people that just have no other interest, no community interest, no baseball interest, no anything except to line their own pockets. That's what they're in the business of baseball for. And that's bad for baseball. And it's been bad for Tampa Bay. Now, is there still a deal to be done in Tampa? Yes. Yes. We had Ken Hagan on the show weeks ago. Said, yes, there's a deal to be done, but it's going to be a public-private partnership. It's not going to be a bend over, give us a blank check like they're doing in St. Pete. And that's why that deal is not going to go through, because as groups find out, all these political groups are now hitting, all these city council folks. They've already got 3 no votes on the council, in my opinion. And my informed opinion, they've already got 3 no votes. There's one more vote that's needed. Molinari is self-described fiscal conservative. How any fiscal conservative could look at this deal and say, and look at it and say, oh, this is good. This is a fiscally conservative deal. So if Molinari wants to be a Republican and have a career in politics and he votes for this, his career is over. Unless he wants to go join another party, because that's not going to fly. He's never going to get elected as a Republican if he votes for this. At some point, he's going to come to that realization. I don't care how much money Stu Sternberg or anybody else may or may not, allegedly, whatever. He can't do it. So he could be the swing vote on this. And at some point, the political pressure may get to everybody when it's exposed what this deal is. It's horrible for the city of St. Pete. So, yes, there's a deal to be done in Tampa, and it's a public-private partnership. And if it's not going to be on Ybor Harbor site, which it looks like it's not because he's moving ahead, it's not going to be in the gas works. I think the next logical spot is the fairgrounds. The fairgrounds is obviously very accessible. It's they've got a lot of land there. You could develop around it. There's a little business right across the street that's probably would be very interested in putting their name on a stadium there, I would think, in the Hard Rock Casino. So there's a lot of good things that could happen from there. They just have to find a spot. The bottom line is, you follow the money. The money is in Tampa. The money for Major League Baseball is in the Tampa Bay region. It's exploding. It's the I-4 corridor. Again, the 11th largest market, and here in Orlando is the 17th largest market. They are not leaving this area, Major League Baseball. But they've got to get, Major League Baseball has sucked a lot of money out of a lot of places for a long time and gotten public money. But as you can see right now, the appetite for voters is not to be subsidizing billionaires with these stadiums. They turned in Kansas City. They're winning Super Bowls right and left. And they went to the voters, and the voters said, no, we're not subsidizing this
that
stadium.
Seems ridiculous. What was the point of getting a new stadium in Kansas City? And they're same thing with like Kauffman Stadium. They were trying to get a new one there too for the Royals.
Yeah.
None of that made any
because
sense.
These owners just think, we can get whatever the hell we want. I mean, Stu's getting whatever the hell he wants in St. Petersburg if that goes through. But again, as the numbers reach the light of day, which they've done a great job keeping them under because the Times is still reporting that it's it's $300 or $400 million to the city of St. Pete, which is completely false. After interest and everything else, it's over $700 million. To the county, it's over $800 million. That's just in expenditures. And in the money that you're losing and giving this huge discount of selling this prime property to Sternberg and Hines, the development company, for pennies on the dollar, with no assurances even that are going to stay for 30 years, no assurances with any teeth in this deal as it stands now that they're going to do what they say they're going to do. It's terrible. So, and the voters and the public all over America, they're like, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. If you want to do a public-private partnership like they did in Atlanta or they did in other places?
Yeah.
People are open to that, and it still exists in Tampa.
Yeah, and all I'll say too, to close my thought on the whole thing is for the people that live in St. Pete and Pinellas County that try to point the finger at the people in Hillsborough and go, well, it's just a bridge, and we have to do the same thing to go over here to the Lightning games and the Bucks games and all this stuff. Like, that's cool. There's still 1 million of you in Pinellas County, and the fact that 10,000 people showed up to a Rays game last night, there's 1 million of you over there. And you've been proving to me for the last 25 years that the majority of you do not care about the Rays.
Exactly.
To go to those baseball games. And don't give me, oh, the stadium sucks. Then to me, at some point, you're just not big enough a fan. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Because if you're a fan, you'll go watch your team wherever it is, regardless of what it looks like. There's 1 million of you over in Pinellas County, and you don't go to the games.
Exactly. And they want to spend $2.4 billion of public money on an entity that less than 3% of the residents are truly interested in and actually go to the stadium and go to games.
Right.
That's
ridiculous. And in regards to where it's located in Pinellas too, like, yeah, is it centrally located in Pinellas? Not exactly, but it's in the downtown district, which is popping lately.
Yeah, but
nobody goes.
Popping, but it's popping with people who have no interest in going to baseball games.
Exactly. Like, I don't understand why we can't, like, multiple things could be true here. I don't understand why we can't just agree on that point rather than pointing the finger at people in Hillsborough for not coming to the game.
Well, the Atlanta Braves, and I was there in Atlanta when they made the move, when they decided to make the move. We broke the story on our morning show. And in about 2 or 3 weeks prior to that, there was an article in the Atlanta Urinal and Constipation that showed where all the season ticket holders are for the Atlanta Braves. And they were all in the northern counties, Gwinnett and Cobb County. Like it was like a graph. Here's where all the ticket buyers come from Atlanta, and here's the stadium down here in South Atlanta. And it's like, you think, should we move the stadium closer to where the actual people are that go to the team games? Yeah, that might work. And look what's happened in Atlanta. I mean, this is not freaking rocket science.
It's never been rocket science, but somehow we've turned it.
Spend $2.4 billion of public money to put it in a failed location.
It's turned into the most convoluted thing I think I've ever seen. Probably next to what's going on in Arizona, which is a damn shame, by the way. That was sad last night. It was sad. I don't know if you saw much of what happened over there and how quick this happened. Like 2 days, like a week ago on Twitter, they're putting out these plans to build this new arena in Phoenix, I believe. Like, they had all the plans, the layout, the way it looks inside, everything. And then 2 days later, all of a sudden, it's announced they're moving to Salt Lake City. And it's like, hold on, what happened to this 2 days earlier? Like, it happened so quick. And yesterday, they had their swan song in Arizona at that Mullet Arena, 4,000 people, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And it was sad. You had employees that all came on the ice and they're crying because they know they're all about to lose their jobs, most likely. And you had a fan base who never really was given a chance whatsoever from their ownership. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a damn shame
once again,
when a team moves.
Bad ownership.
Bad ownership.
A horribly located stadium or horribly located rink. I mean, it was just, that was a ridiculous place to put that rink. You know, it all comes down to bad ownership, Nick, time and time again. You got to have people that are willing to work and partner with the community. And Stu has never been that guy. He's always been the guy that points the fingers. And if I don't get my way, I'm taking my ball and going home. Any responsible owner, any decent person that wanted to invest with the community would have done the deal in Ybor in 2018. And we'd already have the ballpark centrally located, a beautiful ballpark with a translucent roof. And we'd be just, we'd be great. And baseball would be thriving. It would be thriving in Tampa Bay. But instead, we have all this consternation that people want to point the finger at everybody, at Tampa, at Hillsborough County, at Ken Hagen. There's one person, one singular person that has caused all this consternation, and that is Stu freaking Sternberg. Full stop, period. Any other ownership group would have got this done, as they do all over the nation, in Minneapolis, in Cincinnati, in Texas, in Atlanta, every place they've built ballparks in the last 15 to 20 years. It's not that hard. It's not that hard, folks. And except when you have an owner who is just not willing to bargain in good faith. And that's just the truth. A couple of interesting things there. Rick said Rays can play at Clearwater Philly Stadium while new ballpark goes up in Tampa. Ybor Waterside project was a shot fired at Stu. He may be correct. Putting out those renderings is like saying to Stu, listen, when that deal gets shot down in St. Pete, as he now knows it's going to be, we're either moving ahead with you or without you. So maybe that was a shot fired at Stu. Like, you want this piece of property? You want to do a deal with us over on the Tampa side? You better move quick. Now the tables are starting to turn. And now Major League Baseball may be saying, Stu, let's go. You know, there's not many pieces of property left in downtown Tampa that are going to be available. This might be the last one. So let's get it done. And we'll see. Thomas says they can easily build a stadium on the Ray J property. They could. They absolutely. There's plenty of room. Very doable. Very accessible. And by the way, they could also play in Steinbrenner at Steinbrenner Field too, while they get the stadium done. Football is only 8 games on weekends. Baseball is 81 home games, 6 days a week. Yeah, people that compare, football stadiums and baseball stadiums, it's a completely different model. Thomas Casper says Coyotes have never played in a proper facility, and Coyotes do not pay rent. Yeah, I mean, you got location. It's all, this is, again, not rocket science.
Yeah, and you can get it very wrong too, because Miami, the way they did it.
Yeah.
I mean, nice stadium, but not in a great
and here
location.
we are going to make the same stupid mistakes. An over-leveraged stadium that costs way too much money to build in a terrible location. All right, before I have an allergy attack, let's hit a break, and we'll come back on the other side. Scott Jeeves is going to join us to talk about the FSU lawsuit and some Gator happenings at 11:30. Your reactions to the Rays and the Lightning, and we'll talk a little Bucks here when we come back. Stay with us. Hey, it's a great time to buy a house and get a mortgage with American Mortgage Services. Okay, I got your attention now. But JP, rates are at 8%. That's true. But I spoke with our friend Scott Fitzgerald at AMS Tampa, and this is what smart people are doing. Rates peaked at 8% last month, but they've come down, and AMS recently locked some folks in the high 6s. Prices have also stabilized or dropped in some areas. So if you're going to eventually buy, now is the best time to get the house you want. Fitz will get you the best rate out there, shopping it around to dozens of lenders, and when rates come down in a year or so and the frenzy begins again, prices go bananas again, you will already have the pick of the litter. Then he will refinance you and keep costs at nearly zero, because that's what they do at AMS Tampa. You're back at 4% in the house you wanted while others fight the frenzy. Be smart. Stay one step ahead. Email Fitz at scott@amstampa.com, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. Scott Fitzgerald, NMLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Astor Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine, where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset. So make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance.
JP here for Extravaganza Productions. You know, I've worked with these pros on so many big and small events. They recently did the Kappa Alpha Psi Grand Reunion, the Tampa RV Show Exhibit. They did the Skills Center opening of Tampa Bay. They can do those small events. They do the biggest of events. So if you were thinking about planning a meeting or special event, call the talented staff at Team EPI. They will give you a free creative meeting if you mention the JP Peterson Show. They will provide you with an exceptional experience. Heck, they'll even show you their huge warehouse with great props. Anything you want. They'll do it on time and on budget. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Hydrate Heroes. See it right here. I'm hydrating this. 8 times the benefits. Get all those great minerals. And like potassium is in here. We got vitamin D in here. Amla fruit, which is a great antioxidant. Keep you hydrated. Tastes great. Go to hydrateheroes.com and get your 30-pack of the strips. You just put them in here, shake up the powder in this nice little shaker bottle here, and you get all the good stuff. No, only 5 calories per serving, no stimulants, no artificial flavors, none of that bad stuff. So check it out. Good stuff. Nick Geddes joining me here. We're going to get to Scott Jeeves here at 11:30. We'll talk about the FSU lawsuit. What we didn't talk about, Nick, is the matchup with the Panthers and the horrible time that we got from the 12:30 on Sunday. We're playing hockey.
God, you're killing me, man. Even the Magic on Saturday are playing at 1:00 and then at 12:30. Come on.
Like this is our time of year to get outside. The weather's still good. And you're giving our Florida teams mid-afternoon playoff games. Good God. Come on.
Especially a rivalry like that. Like, I understand from a TV, I know it's all ratings based, and I'm sure 2 Florida hockey teams are not going to do the ratings that some of the other teams are going to do. I'm aware, but I hate to see that a rivalry like that is just shoved at 12:30.
Yeah. But whatever is what it is. So we'll be tuned in 12:30. The Lightning will have a watch party. Greg Wolf was putting some stuff out earlier today. When I find out what it is, we'll get all that information out to you. So there will be a watch party somewhere, either Thunder Alley or at a local establishment somewhere or park. They're still working on that. We have the best playoff watch parties there are. So we'll keep you posted on where that's going to be. Now, as for the matchup, first and foremost, Luke Glendening did not play last night. Has not really been seen around the team for the past couple of days. Tyler Mott also did not play. I'm a little bit more hopeful that he will play. But Glendening is your top faceoff guy, your top penalty killer, and they've been somewhat productive on that fourth line as well. There's, as you know, Nick, in the playoffs, depth scoring, special teams, face-off. That's why they went and got Luke Glendening. This is a killer. And as Brian Engblom was kind of showing me as well, if you have a shoulder issue like this and you're a face-off guy, that's not good. You use that leverage for your face-off. So that's, even if he's able to play and fight through the injury, how effective is he going to be in the face-offs? And of course, these other teams aren't stupid. The Panthers know exactly where he's injured, and he's going to get roughed up, and that's just the way the game is played.
And listen, and this is why this matchup, I hate this matchup. I'm not as bullish on the Lightning because of this. I was much more optimistic if they were facing Boston, and of course, Boston had to ruin it on the last game of the season.
They tanked.
Oh yeah.
They had, as Brian Bradley was pointing out, they had 13 shots in the first 2 periods against Ottawa.
Yeah.
On,
I mean, I don't know what they're tanking for though. It's like they still got to play Toronto. Like it's not like they were gonna had a shot at playing Washington. It was gonna be Toronto or Tampa Bay.
Clearly they wanted no part of us.
I guess so. But yeah, to play Florida, the thing that scares me about this matchup is just the physicality factor. The Panthers led the league this year in hits with like 2,300 something of them, some insane ungodly number. And when you watch Florida play, their physicality shows up quick in the first period. They will grind you down in a first period and blank you and take you out of your game. And then by the time the second period comes, by the time the third period comes, then they start to go. Because guess what? They got guys who can put the puck in the back of the net all over the place. Sam Reinhart just scored 57 goals this year for them. Yeah. We've seen him in the playoffs. We've seen Barkov, what he can do in the playoffs. Bobrovsky is always going to be the key, though. Goaltending is to me ultimately is going to be the theme of this series. Which Vasilevsky are we going to get? Are we going to get playoff Vasilevsky that turns it on? And on Florida side, are you going to get Bobrovsky of last year when he went on that incredible run, or are you going to get the Bobrovsky of the year prior, where the Lightning just completely were in his head and blanked them in 4 games?
Swept them.
Be the theme of this series.
Yeah. No, I think you broke that down very well. I would counter with the Lightning are no pushovers, and this is where Glendening and Mott come in. I mean, these are 2 guys that are a pain in the ass to play against on the fourth line and in the penalty kill. So without those guys, it's a little different, kind of team. And this is the time for some of these young guys to step up. Mitchell Chaffee can play a heavy game. He needs to assert himself. A Lilleberg needs to assert himself. These young guys, and I think this is kind of what Brian Bradley was saying yesterday, they got to grow up in a hurry because the Panthers are fixing to bring it. They're fixing to bring it, and you have got to answer that physicality with physicality. And I know John Cooper knows this, and I know because the Lightning have had incredible success in the playoffs, much detailed, right? They know what it takes, and they know it's going to take a heavy game against Florida, and I think they have the players to play it. I think, Tanner Jeannot is healthy. That's huge. And he's going to make his presence felt very early in this series. I think, you've got some guys that can go out and play a heavier game, and they're going to have to play a heavier game. And they're going to have to be more physical than they perhaps been.
Yeah, because when you look at Florida, Kuchuk's going to throw the body. We know that. He's going to be a pest. And even that damn Ryan Lomberg, man. I mean, I don't know how many times we've had to face that guy, and he's just a pest. He's just a pest. It's not like he's like some great talent. He's just a pest, a guy you want on your team in the playoffs. And so
what's key, though?
What?
Duclair's wearing a Lightning jersey this time.
Right. I was just going to get to him because he had a pretty good postseason last year in Florida. Yep. So obviously, I mean, he was on that Stanley Cup run, and he's acclimated himself quite well to the Lightning style of play real quickly, more so than any other trade deadline acquisition, I would argue, has in a Tampa Bay Lightning sweater coming over. And even, meaningless game yesterday, sweet pass he had yesterday to Nick Paul, I believe it was, for the first goal.
Yes.
That was very
sweet.
It made
the SportsCenter top 10.
It made the SportsCenter top 10?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Sweet.
That nice little backhander to Nick Paul for the pop-in, yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to be an X factor. I mean, we know the Lightning can score. I mean, and they had 3 guys who scored 40 goals this year. Nick Paul quietly with a career high 24 goals. Sorelli put up 20, which was a career high. They're going to score. Some of these defensive errors and fits that they've had all season long, are those going to get cleaned up? We're going to have to wait and see. I mean, it's so easy to analyze the Lightning. It's like, are they going to turn on their switch, that magic switch? Is it going to flip to the on button or not? It's just, but just the matchup itself, though, against Florida, it's hefty. That's a hefty one to go up against, especially having to do it on the road.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be a hell of a series. I'm looking forward to it. Excuse me, I get these when a little pollen goes up the nose, and it's like, oh, it's ready to go. You know what I'm talking about?
There. I'm dealing with it right now.
Yeah, it'll hit me hard. I think it's going to be a hell of a series. I mean, Vegas has what the Panthers as a -170 favorite. That's significant, but it doesn't mean squat. It doesn't mean squat on the ice. It just means, that's what the public sees. The Panthers had a little bit of a lull, after they clinched, they had, obviously the Lightning had a lull of their own. So I think I think you're going to see both teams at their best if Glendening can play. If Glendening can't play, who does that fall on? Sorelli didn't play last night. They had Nick Paul and Connor Sheary out there on the penalty kill. So it's just it's going to be a different level.
Yeah, and those guys are going to play a big role because you saw it last year, and this is why the Lightning had to retool their bottom six. And the Maroon, Perry, Belmar, for all the experience that those guys provided, it was so clear last year in that series against Toronto that they were just so far off the pace and so ineffective, particularly Maroon, right? And that's why I saw this comment here. Like, I understand the experience, but they were so far off of it last year from an intensity standpoint. And so that's why Glendening was in here. That's why Mott's here. Asamont, if I had to say, he's another one of those pests that we have who has the ability to score two at a timely time. So I will say from a bottom six standpoint, I do sort of like the Lightning better this year than I did last year because they seem to be more physical this year and have more guys who can impact the play, and they're faster.
Yeah, they're faster. They're more athletic. They're bigger. This is a better team. I think a more athletic team. You miss the experience. I think that's part of it. But when you get to that point where you're just you're so slow that you just can't keep up with the rest of the guys, that experience doesn't have a whole lot of effectiveness. So I think that's why the Lightning made the change, and we'll see if it works. But I do think the goaltending part is huge. And Bobrovsky's been great. We saw him make the run last year. He was really, really good. But he's, the Lightning have his number at times. Special teams. This will be a big part of it. If the officials are calling penalties and, Florida wants to play a tough physical game, they should have to pay the price for that a little bit here and there. And if the Lightning get on the power play, they've got to execute. They've got to execute and keep at that 30% clip if they're going to win this series. The power play can't go in have a dry spell. It's going to have to score at a great rate.
I wonder too. By the way, speaking of Bobrovsky, I wonder how short. And I always played well this year, and he just took him to the Stanley Cup. But I wonder his leash. Is it because I don't know people are talking about this. Florida's backup goalie, Anthony Stolarz, he actually played in 27 games for them this year, JP. He led the NHL in save percentage and in goals against this season. Anthony Stolarz did. So I'm curious. I wonder how quick in this series, if the Lightning are having their way with him, if he's going to be on a little bit of a short leash because of how well Stolarz played this year. And how that'll impact. Because remember when they played Florida, I think it was 2 postseasons ago, and they kept switching from Bobrovsky to Knight at the time, and that definitely affected the series. I wonder if it could be the same thing this year. So
let's hope so.
Something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, let's hope so. Also, we talked a little bit about the Belichick thing, and I didn't even know that he showed up on Pat McAfee yesterday. But the hit piece that came out the other day, it's a little weird, and it seems like it's all coming from Robert Kraft.
It is,
doesn't it? Because I don't think ESPN runs that as with anonymous reporting unless they know damn well that the source is rock solid. And it kind of seems like it is Bob Kraft. Like, what's going on there?
I mean, the way that he's quoted in here, he thinks Bill is extremely difficult and obstinate, stubborn, not worthy of his trust, very, very, very arrogant. Like, this is pretty strong to say about somebody who has been your head coach and GM for 23 years, I think it was, and helped you win 6 Super Bowls, increased your net worth in doing so, by the way, and in the network and in the fame of you and your organization, all those great things that Bill Belichick helped did. And I just feel like he's been slandered this entire way on the way out. Like, to me, there was a way to do it. I'm not going to debate you and tell you that Bill Belichick, does Bill Belichick seem to still have his fastball right now? No. I mean, I'm not going to debate you on that. I thought it was time for a change, but there's a way to do it. And I just feel like there's been a lack of respect done by Robert Kraft and the Patriots through this whole thing. And I find it a little bit disturbing. And at this point, it's like, can we all just move on? Can we all just move on? You were the greatest dynasty in the history of the NFL that'll never be replicated again. And all of you guys want to talk about is sour grapes over everything. Like, I don't know. I think it's a little bit ridiculous at this point. And if, in fact, this is all true, that Robert Kraft went behind Bill Belichick's back and told Arthur Blank, who clearly was excited about the opportunity to potentially work with Bill Belichick, and then Robert Kraft put the kibosh on that. I mean, I just don't like that. I really don't. And I just think enough with these pieces about Bill Belichick and slandering him.
Well, I think it's just interesting that, when you treat people poorly, no matter what your resume says, eventually it's going to come back and bite you in the butt. And I think that's what happened with Belichick. I think he got arrogant. I think his hubris got the best of him. He thought it was more about him than it was about Brady or the whole team that he had put together, from coaching staffs to Brady, to the whole thing that proved, to win 6 Super Bowls. And then I think he got a little arrogant. I can do it without Brady. I'll do it with Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, Kraft was right to say, no, you're not. It was Bob Kraft who's 2 Super Bowls after that? At least one. At least one more Super Bowl after Belichick tried to get rid of Brady, right? So Kraft was right. He was right to back Brady and go against Belichick. And I think that was the beginning of the end. And this is just what it's come down to. And I think as Brady left, and clearly that was a Belichick thing. If Belichick wanted Brady to stick around, they would have made some.
Brady already said it kind of in the dynasty doc that, like, no matter what had happened that final year, like, he was not signing back because he wasn't going to stick around for this anymore. Like, right, exactly. Like, but that's just my thing.
That's about Belichick.
I get it. It's just like we talk about this all the time. Dynasties never end the way you want them to. They just never do.
Never.
But okay, they had a run for 20 years. Dynasty. It happened. Okay. And everybody got tired of the Patriot way or the Belichick way, whatever you want to call it. And it ended. Okay. That's cool. But we don't need to just, in my opinion, to then slander Bill continuously like he didn't do anything good or that he didn't play a huge part in this of everything that went on. Like, it wasn't just Brady. It wasn't just Belichick. It was the greatest partnership of a player and head coach and a culture that we've ever seen in professional sports, probably. Like, yeah. And it won a lot of championships. And I think all this now, this dirt that's being thrown. And by the way, I think Bill Belichick's going to be back head coaching next year. I really do. And I think he's going to be wearing the star on his chest. I really believe that. This is going to be the last year for Mike McCarthy because they're not going to get it done again. He's out of contract this year. And Bill Belichick, who has a pretty good relationship with the Jones family, is going to be your Cowboys head coach. I feel like I'm already writing that one down.
I think you might be right. And because Jerry Jones, but will Jerry give up all that authority? I mean, that's the reason Jimmy Johnson left. That's the reason, he hires puppets. Is Bill Belichick going to want to be a puppet? Well, here's the thing. Belichick probably thought teams were going to line up for him. And I think he was shocked that didn't happen. I think he's that arrogant, even given what he's done the last few years and how poorly he's executed in the draft in terms of coaching decisions, coaching hirings or not hirings. I think he thought teams were going to line up. And I think he went into these interviews thinking, I don't have to interview. You're just going to hire me. And he got a rude awakening. I think Bob Kraft probably blacklisted him, or at least told the other owners what he'd been going through, and they weren't up for it.
That's how it comes off.
So, yeah, that's what it says to me. So, yeah, I think it's going to take. I think it's going to take a little bit of humility from Belichick now to say, okay, maybe I won't have as much power as I need. I just want to get this record. And I don't think it's going to go well. But Jerry clearly would rather have the headlines than have a coach that can get it done, and that fits them both to a T. So maybe that's a marriage made in heaven right there. We'll see. So, all right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, Scott Jeeves is going to join us. We're going to talk about the FSU lawsuit. We can talk about some Gator football, maybe even a little bit of Gator baseball, what's going on in Gainesville. So stay with us. Quick break. The Jeeves Law Group segment coming up next with our good friend Scott Jeeves. Stay with us. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Did you know Steve Weintraub founded the Gold and Diamond Source over 40 years ago by selling gold-plated sand dollars? And to celebrate, the Gold and Diamond Source is selling gold sand dollar jewelry with the proceeds supporting Julie and Steve Weintraub's foundation, Hands Across the Bay. Yes, in 1984, Steve opened their first location, expanded to 9 stores as far as Atlanta, but now they've consolidated all that inventory under one roof, becoming one of the largest family-owned fine jewelry stores in the country. Julie, of course, joined forces with her husband 20 years ago, and they're going to celebrate by offering up to 40% off select jewelry items. Plus, with gold prices near all-time highs, it's the perfect time to trade in your broken or unworn pieces for something new and stunning. Unlock the value in your jewelry box today at the Gold and Diamond Source. It's always one place, and it's always a great place. The Gold and Diamond Source celebrating their 40th anniversary, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this Thursday as we get set for a great playoff series between the Lightning and the Panthers. It's also spring football season. FSU's big spring game coming up this weekend. The Gators had theirs last weekend, and we want to bring in our favorite Gator fan, the great Scott Jeeves, who loves his Gators. And
I do. We actually look good in the spring game, supposedly.
You want that Lagway kid to play quarterback, don't you? Go ahead, admit it.
I just think he's going to be playing a few sets. I don't think he's playing right away. He came in as, basically a freshman in the spring and, looks like a freshman a little bit. I think that's the way it is,
Yeah, well, Graham Mertz played great last year. But if you're a Gator fan, right? So you watch all the games, you watch everything. And I watched this kid play quarterback, and I said, that kid Graham Mertz can play. And it's 70% completion percentage. But you have this kid behind him who's the number one quarterback in the nation coming in, and his talent is undeniable. I watched a little bit of the spring game. The way he moves, the way he throws. I know he's far from a polished quarterback like Mertz is, but my goodness, that kid looks fantastic.
I mean, they're going to use him. They have to use him in some sets because they want to keep him interested and they want to train him. So they're going to use him in some sets. They've already said that. I just, I think they've got to use him behind Mertz. I mean, I don't want to put too much pressure on the kid to perform too quickly when he's got all that talent. Give him a little bit of time to get in there. And they've got, the wide receiving core looks a lot better this year. Even though we lost Eddie to Georgia, which I don't want to see him playing against us, we still got a really good running back core. So I think we've got some things to be positive about. But I think our coach and our players are expected to win. I think they've got some pressure on them. I'm trying to weigh out who's got more pressure: Florida State from being undefeated last year, or us. Like, it's time to perform. So I think they both have a lot of pressure on them going in there. You know,
But here's the thing with the Gators is the schedule. I mean, Scott, you could have a team that's every bit as good as FSU or anybody else in the nation with this schedule. It's brutal, bro. It's brutal. So how, as a booster and a fan, how do you weigh that out with Billy Napier? How many games does he have to win to keep his job, you think?
I think he's got to win at least 6 games this year. If he doesn't hit 6 or bowl eligibility, I think we got a problem. I mean, they're just not going to tolerate it. This will be the 3rd year, and he's expected. I mean, every SEC coach and every Florida coach and every Florida State coach is expected to win after.
Yeah.
This is his 3rd year. Okay, you know, he may get one more, what I would say, bonus year because of the fact that it's murder row for us this year. It really is. But that's also an interesting dynamic, you know, that you could go back to Florida State. Does, you know, Florida State stay in the ACC so they're in the top 12 all the time? I don't see it happening because of litigation, clearly, you know, especially with the dueling courts. You know, you've got the North Carolina and the ACC suit going. You know, North Carolina's got one jurisdiction. You got Florida State still doing well in Tallahassee. So you got competing cases. I was talking about that with somebody in the paper on that, and it was just, you know.
Stand by. Phone call.
Sorry
Hold
about
on.
that. I'm hanging up the phone on you. Phone behind
Good,
you
the
ringing.
phone's ringing. That's a good thing. Phones are ringing.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
guess
good
so.
thing.
I guess so. So that's definitely interesting.
All right, hold on. Somebody stop calling Scott so we can get this interview done, please. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm just pulling the phone off the hook.
There you go. There you go.
So
Phones
but
are
I
ringing
guess
off
it's
the
good.
hook.
Yeah, that's it. But, you know, everything looks kind of interesting for both programs. I think it's a pivotal year for you guys. I think you guys have to reload and you know, run the schedule again. And it's going to be interesting.
The schedules are very different. That's for damn sure. FSU can look at their schedule and probably say they're going to be favored in almost every game except maybe the game at Notre Dame, depending on how Notre Dame season goes. That Florida schedule is just completely different. And of course, you know, FSU has a new quarterback in DJ Uiagalelei, but he's got experience and they know where they're going with their quarterback situation. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes down. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the court case. Last time you were on, you talked about the venue situation. Where does that stand right now? Is I guess it's gone to the North Carolina Supreme Court?
It is in the North Carolina suit, but the more interesting fact is that the Tallahassee suit, the judge didn't stay it. And that's a huge victory for FSU. It's huge because it keeps it going. You've got judges looking at different things. You've got the North Carolina judge basically more looking at the contract basis of the case. And then you've got the Tallahassee judge looking at the allegations, the fiduciary obligations, the things, the more, you know, the more interesting stuff with ESPN. Hey, what's out there? So you've got 2 different kind of sets of reactions by different judges. And it's going to be super interesting, you know, on how it's handled down the line. Them not staying the case is unusual. And part of the reason they said they're not staying is because, you know, they looked at ACC, ran out to file a lawsuit. I mean, the judge bought into that argument.
Yeah.
He said, look, I'm not going to, just because this lawsuit beat it by one day, am I going to stop and go forward on that stuff? So, you know, that's very interesting. I think it's very, very interesting in that you've got these competing lawsuits, and how does that play out?
Yeah. By the way, you flipped your phone, so you're sideways now on our screen. Can you flip it back? There you go. Perfect. Yeah, there, that's better.
Sorry about that. That was the
much better.
iPad. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you look better that way.
No. Well, hell, I'd look better if I got some hair too, but that's not happening.
I feel you, brother. So when you say the judge did stay, so it's going forward in the Leon County Court, correct?
Correct. You know,
so how can you have how do you have competing lawsuits going on at the same time? How does that work?
I think that's a tension because you could have inconsistent verdicts. I think that's a huge tension right now that you've got to necessarily look. Did the North Carolina and the Florida judge, did they eventually talk? who's going to do what, where, how, and why. You don't know how it's going to be handled, but the tension that is going on there, and it's huge. It's like we talked about before. It's home field advantage, and both sides want to play at home. You know,
Yeah, of course.
That's huge. I think it's huge for both sides. I think it's very interesting, and I think it just goes to how much is at stake. It really tells you they're completely different lawsuits. And if you're the Florida State guys, you're going to want to clearly be in Tallahassee because it looks like that judge is going to let you guys have more stuff to kind of explore those angles with ESPN, explore the fiduciary duty things that you talked about before.
What is this? What is this? Have you ever seen anything like this in your experience where there's a contract, which is the media rights contract that's kept in a vault in the ACC, and it can't be disseminated to even the court? Is the judge in Leon County able to see this thing, or does it become public record because of the case? Have you ever seen anything like this, that a document is like this uber secret document that can't be revealed?
Not really, and I think eventually it could be. It can come out. It's going to come out one way or the other because the judge may say, "Hey, we're not going to make it public, but I'm going to see it for in camera. We're going to do this. We're going to do that." That document is central to both cases, so you can't say, "Oh, we're going to keep this locked away in a vault and never show anybody." It's ridiculous. It borderline on being ridiculous.
Yeah, that to me is one of the weirdest things of this. And what does it tell you about the ACC and ESPN that they would try to keep this document? So it's a media rights document. It's not a patent for the cure of cancer.
You know, that's what's suspicious. That's what I think gives you guys some play. That's why I think the judge in Tallahassee or Leon County said, "Hey, whoa, I'm not going to just sit here on my hands because this is weird." And, and it's like, Maryland, when they left the ACC, they didn't have near the amount of problems, and they didn't have the, all this fanfare with ESPN, all the other stuff that's going on that wasn't going. So that was a smoother transition. That case probably did deserve to only be in North Carolina, which is why the Maryland judge in that case stayed it. But this is a completely different set of facts, and it's just a whole different way of looking at things.
Scott Jeeves joining us from the Jeeves Law Group. How does Clemson entering this suit as well, and North Carolina, their chancellor has said as much. I think they're going to be next. How does that affect the lawsuit?
I think it kind of favors in behind FSU. I'm going to give. I wouldn't say Clemson's kind of sitting and watching. They filed their lawsuit, they stayed it, so did the ACC. I think it's just interesting. It's all going to, Florida State's the standard bearer right now on what's going to happen. And the problem is, and the ACC, you guys, Clemson, North Carolina, your star attractions leave the conference.
Yeah.
You're now what, a WAC conference at best.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
At best.
At best. And I think that's, and this is kind of something that a lot of folks aren't talking about, is ESPN has an option to pick up this media rights deal in 2025. So if FSU and Clemson and North Carolina are no longer a part of the conference, they can't pick, they don't want it. It's not worth the money that even that 50 cents on the dollar that of the market, which is why FSU wants to get out of it. Even at that price for ESPN, it's not profitable because of the key players that are leaving, right?
Well, I mean, I think that also lends to how you settle this stuff. If I'm ACC, maybe I want to keep you past those periods so I can keep ESPN for another year or two or whatever. So maybe a resolution would be, okay, we're leaving in 2027. We're gone. We're gone. No penalty, whatever. There's resolutions that could be had there. Sorry, I don't know what my iPad's doing. But, it is what it is. I mean, I think it's a resolution to be had or something you can use in that resolution. So I think you really got to, if you're FSU, you play that well. And I think FSU, I'm going to give kudos to their attorneys for keeping that case in Leon County and keeping it active. They're doing a good job. And you're right. I don't think eventually FSU is going to be out of the ACC. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting how they handle it, how everybody, can we make our divorce a little bit less painful, and part of it is part of it, they're not letting you guys into some of the meetings and stuff, which I can't understand. How do you say somebody's in a conference, but you're not going to let them participate in meetings or this or that or whatever? I get it if it was, hey, we're discussing the legal proceeding against FSU, but the rest of the stuff, you guys should be able to sit there. You should be able to discuss, basketball, baseball, whatever it is, but you're not in the meeting. So that's even scarier.
There was I know you were talking to the folks at the Times. They were asking about your expertise there. So I look forward to seeing that. But there was a paragraph in the FSU lawsuit I wanted to read to you that I thought was very direct by the FSU folks. And they said the FSU board's contention is that the entire ACC enterprise has failed, particularly as it is to constitutionally committed to purposes, as well as the fact that the captains who guided it, Messrs. Swafford and Phillips, have run the enterprise aground, plagued by conflicts of interest, motives of self-perpetuation, and the abject abandonment of their preeminent responsibility to serve the members first. Those commissioners have skippered the enterprise to its existential brink. That's some fancy lawyer talk to say you guys suck. Like, that's some nasty stuff right there, Scott.
I think they're borrowing from like the Pac-12. Remember, they had their television deal with Pac-12 that ended up being horrible and all these other stuff. So I think they're borrowing some of that, or at least pending on that. And I think that's, from FSU's position, that's true. That's a true statement as far as FSU's concerned. They're like, hey, guys, we're on some substandard networks on some stuff. We don't have the rights. We have this long-term television right contract that may or may not be up to date, especially when you're comparing us to the SEC, Big Ten, or whatever else.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of things they're trying to say there that are interesting, and it's to be played out in courts. The courts will solve it. It'll eventually be solved. The parties, they're big boys. Everybody's going to get it done.
So most of this posturing, though, do you think this goes to a trial, or do you think they settle it out? Because one side's going to prove they have a better case, right? And before it goes to trial, the other side's going to realize that, and they're going to at least start negotiating some type of settlement. Correct?
I think eventually the parties, there's so much money at stake that the parties are going to have to sit down and talk about settling it. And name any, when people leave the Pac-12, people leave any conference. Have you ever seen one of these things go to trial? They're not.
Never.
They're not going to trial. Hey, I got to get a shameless plug in, though. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
All right. We're on April 23rd at Black Crow Coffee in the Grand Central. We're hosting a Feeding Tampa Bay. Bring cereal and you get free coffee. You'll get a coffee that's cereal flavored, like a latte or something. And it's going to be on us. So we're inviting you. It's 8 to 10 on April 23rd, which is a Tuesday. And bring a couple boxes of cereal and you get a free latte. So we're trying to do some good stuff for Feeding Tampa Bay. And you can meet the lawyers. If you have any lawyer questions, come ask us some lawyer questions, and the staff will be there, which will be fun. But it's more for the feeding in the Tampa Bay. We're just trying to grab cereal.
All right, so that's Black Crow Coffee on Grand Central in St. Pete, right?
Yep, April 23rd, 8 o'clock in the morning to 10.
All right. Well, this is what we say all the time, Scott, on the show when we're talking about your law group, that you guys do a ton of great stuff here locally. You have an office in St. Pete there. You have an office in Tampa. You guys are local. You know the local landscape of the judges and everything else, and that makes a difference when people have cases, right?
Yeah, it does. You need to know your system. That's like if you notice in the FSU, there's North Carolina attorneys in the North Carolina suit, and there's Tallahassee attorney in Tallahassee. You got to know your landscape. You got to know your judges. You've got to know what works with them, what doesn't work with them. That goes everywhere.
So when you're deciding on an attorney, keep it local, folks, because that's where you're going to get the best results. That's why you guys are as good as you are.
We try to be. We definitely try to be.
Well, Scotty, thank you, man. Appreciate you coming on. Thank you for all your help. Thank you for the support of this show. We can't do it without you. So all the people that are listening and watching and we have out there, they appreciate you. And thanks for supporting the show.
Thank you for having us on, JP. And next time I'll make sure I don't bring my iPad. It didn't seem to do well for us.
No, it went it got a little cockeyed, but that's okay. Go Gators.
That's okay.
Go Gators, my friend. All right,
take
partner.
it easy. Bye-bye.
We'll see you soon. Scott Jeeves right there. It's fascinating to me, when you talk about the $570 million exit fee, hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, this is big time stuff, but it kind of goes to the core of where college athletics is at right now. It just seems so centered on money and who's making it and who's chasing it. And now I hate to sound like that guy, Nick, but it just ain't like it used to be.
Even like to on the field matters like this new spring portal thing. It's just like I've heard like rumblings like behind the scenes of like at least from UCF standpoint of why certain guys are leaving, and why certain guys are potentially leaving, and it always comes back to, well, this guy asked for more NIL, and they didn't want to give it to him, and it's just I don't know how you deal. Again, if you're a head coach, I don't know how you deal with all this stuff. It's like you just had spring practices, you just had your spring games, and all of a sudden, some guys who you think are going to be a part of your program are hitting the portal. And it could be as simple as the spring game comes and they're number 2 on the depth chart at their position.
Right.
And they think, well, the writing's on the wall. I don't need to show up for the summer. Like, I don't need to compete. That's it. I'm moving on. Like, I just, how is that a smart thing that we're doing by college athletics, by having this spring portal and like no limits on how many times you can move? Like, I know they tried to make it better for everybody, like where you don't have to sit out a year, but like even the kid from Alabama, Caden Proctor, the 5-star O-lineman who played at Alabama last year, and then Saban retires, he transfers to Iowa, and then he just transfers right back to Alabama. Like, it's all just, is none of this weird to anybody at all?
No, it's ridiculous and weird. And look, even in the NFL, because this is all collectively bargained, there's restrictions to your movement. You sign a contract, there's free agency. There's you can be cut. You can be, there are rules to how people can move because coaches need to have some consistency to their rosters. Like when you get a guy under contract for 4 or 5 years in the NFL, that he's yours and you can count on him being there. There's no such thing in college football or college basketball anymore. Guys can leave, even if they get NIL deals, they can pick up and leave and go to the next one, And so it is completely the wild, wild west now, and they've got to find a way to get a hold of this. I would predict in the next at least 2 years that there's going to be a model that is put out there of super conferences, and there's going to be uniform rules, and there's going to be collective bargaining for the players, and that'll be good. That'll be good. It'll be more professional, but at least coaches and players and programs will have some certainty as to where the players are going to be, at least for some amount of time, and the players will get paid, which is what they should have been doing for a long, long time. I know people want to go back to the old college model, but because it was comfortable for you to sit there and watch and know that your guy's going to be there for 3 or 4 years. Well, unfortunately, if you went to work and you weren't getting paid, would that be okay with you? Getting an education. Well, that doesn't pay the rent. It doesn't pay mom's rent, doesn't pay for electricity, doesn't pay for any of that stuff. We love to watch the games and have that collegiate atmosphere. It just was, it was not fair to the players, and that had to be rectified, and it's being rectified. They can still enjoy the games and they can still wear the uniforms and still play in our stadiums, but they have to be compensated. And that's just the way it's going to be. And hopefully we can come up with a system that works and players can't just willy-nilly leave. And because, that NFL players can't do that, but they're highly compensated for it. So we'll see.
Right. But if you're at least if you're in USF, I did want to put this little note out there because our Odd Threes, Pete Nakos, had reported this, that he had circled USF as a landing spot for Cormani McLean, who is one of the better, more heralded players, I'll put it that way, in the portal. He was a 5-star corner in the 2023 class. I think he was the number 1 corner in his class, and he got signed by Coach Prime, Dion at Colorado. And it didn't exactly go well for him at Colorado. From what I had recall, I don't think he really saw the field. And actually, Dion had a quote this morning, where said, "I pray to God that he goes to a program that challenges him as well as holds him accountable and develops him as a young man. We weren't the program that could accomplish that," which is not exactly the most glowing comment, I want to say, about Kamani McLean.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say you shouldn't be excited if you're a USF fan, if you're able to land him because of the type of prospect he was, but it sounds like there's some stuff maybe under the hood there.
Yeah. 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 And this is, and I think it's also interesting that, I want to say the bloom is off the rose for Deion Sanders. It's just that this is the reality. When you create this atmosphere of, poaching everybody else's players, you're going to get players that aren't loyal, right? Just by, if you cheat on your spouse with somebody else and they also have a spouse and you guys get together, well, you're the product of 2 cheaters, right? Like, do you trust that other person down the road? Do you? And, if Deion's going to go poach these players from other programs that they were supposedly loyal to, when those players leave you for somebody else, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. And this will be all part of it. And as teams catch up with the NIL, it's going to be. And you see linemen, the linemen that were so awfully criticized by Deion, they're taking off for other pastures as well. So the attrition's going to hit him both ways, and that's college football. He's not going to be immune from that. He's not going to be immune from that at all. So, but yeah, all these, and that's we've talked about this as well at youth sports. These kids are now being coddled from the time they're 11, 12 years old. They're being identified as better than everybody else at a very young age. Then you have travel ball, you have everything else that goes with it. They're being coddled, and they're not challenged, and they're not. And you have, if you're going to be a great player, you have to be challenged and have to be held accountable at some point in your career. And if you're not open to that, you'll never become a great player. You'll never. And if you just keep running to everyone who's going to kiss your ass, you'll never develop into the player that you should be. And so Deion's right in that comment. I don't know the kid at all, but specifically, if kids are just going to run away from that, and Saban has said the same thing, and it's one of the reasons he quit coaching, because he can't challenge kids like he once did. He can't hold them accountable because they'll just get pissed off and go somewhere else.
It shows you what Kirby Smart has created, because you don't see there's still guys who transfer out of Georgia, of course. It happens everywhere, but his ability to win with every player consistently in the modern day like this is unmatched. Georgia's, to me, Kirby's mastered it, if there's such a thing in the modern day.
Yeah. But I think this goes back, and this goes to the, who are you recruiting? Like, who are you recruiting? You gotta find out, if they're, and I think Mike Norvell has done a great job of this at Florida State. He's gone out and when they go into the transfer portal, they just don't take everybody. They don't take everybody. And he says this all the time, like this, Florida State is not for everybody. It's not the place for every player. And if you're a kid that he feels is entitled and is not going to handle the coaching very well, and is not going to be able, when you're held accountable, you're just going to be looking for the first door out. They're not going to take you,
right?
And sometimes you don't know that until the kid gets there. So that's part of it too. But if you're a good judge of character and you've done your homework, you should know that before you bring them in.
Hey, before we go, congratulations to Caitlin Clark, who is infinitely richer than me and you. She is nearing,
as she should be,
of course.
Yes.
She's nearing an 8-figure endorsement deal with Nike per Shams Charania, and she is going to get her new exclusive shoe as part of this deal with Nike. So
what would you say, Shams Charania? What is that?
Shams Charania, the NBA reporter. He's like him and Woj are the two that go back and forth.
Right. I wasn't anyway.
You're not familiar with Shams?
I'm not. I don't know Shams.
Okay.
So she's getting a 10-figure, so $10 million plus.
Correct.
By my FSU math. And she's getting her own shoe.
Yep.
Ooh, Jordan-esque.
I'm telling you,
This is
you
really
might
going to piss off a lot of those WNBA players now.
Fine. I'm telling you though, you had that quote last week or the week before. You didn't know what the impact.
Angel
was
Reese's head just exploded.
I think there'll be more that'll follow, but for now, she's going to be the flag bearer of it. But remember when you said you didn't know about the impact of WNBA? I mean, I'm sure you saw the ratings for that WNBA draft, which I tuned in for, by the way. 2.6 million people watching the WNBA draft on ESPN. I mean, we're going to see the first games on May 14th, by the way. May 14th.
Do you think it's going to translate to games other than the Indiana Fever? Is it the WNBA or is it Caitlin Clark?
Does it matter? Was it the NBA or was it Magic Johnson and Larry Bird? Was it the NBA or was it Michael Jordan?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think it has to probably develop beyond her. You know, like Magic and Bird got people to sample the NBA, and they liked it. They liked the way that they liked it. Now, are people going to sample the WNBA and say, when they go and watch Caitlin Clark, going to go, "Oh, I like this. I'm gonna keep watching it, and I'll watch other games that Caitlin Clark doesn't play in." I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't think so. I don't think you're going to see 11, 12 million people watching the WNBA finals like you did the NCAA finals. I just don't see that. I don't think that's going to happen, but I could be wrong. We'll see. We'll see.
It's off to a great start. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Our thanks to Scott Jeeves who joined us today. Great job, Nick Geddes. If you missed the Pete Fairbanks interview, I retweeted it. It's classic, and I want to make sure we play that at least once or twice every single day we have a show, Nick. So record it, put it at the bottom of so we can click on it anytime. We'll be back tomorrow. Corey Long's going to join us. We'll talk the Lightning Panthers with him. We've got some other surprises for you, so join us tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.